Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Law Brief Publishing. I've not reviewed their works before, but I've found them extremely useful for practitioner purposes. This book is specifically on experts, and it deals with the Civil Procedure Rules, Part 35, for lawyers and experts. It's a fundamental publication for you if you are an expert witness or involved in any way in either being an expert or persons who are seeking to appoint an expert, or you're using experts in court at whatever level you might be, whether it be as a barrister or solicitor. Now, the review that I've written with Elizabeth, my wife, is, we've given the title of our review the following: Fundamental Purchase for All Experts Involved in Any Aspect of Litigation. And that's exactly what it is. It's only a short review, this one, but let me show you the book. It's a paperback, and it's only a small paperback. There's the front of it there. You can see the title. And there are a number of books which Law Brief Publishing have produced. This one's written by David Boyle. You can see there. Now, the back of the book, again, it's probably not the easiest way of seeing it, but you can see the information, hopefully. And then at the bottom, there's information about David at the bottom, explaining who he is. And then there's a quote as well about the book. Inside, the book, excuse me, is about 152 pages. There's a conclusion right at the back of the book. It's not structured in any formal way with paragraph numbering. There are footnotes and there are subheads. There's no index at the back. There's the front, and it says David Boyle, Dean's Court Chambers, Manchester. And there's the information there. And then there's a very nice dedication, which I should just show you there. So you can see that there's a note from the author there, and then there's some acknowledgements, dated November 2016. I'm recording this in the summer of 2017. This book came about because Tim Keevan and Gary Wright at Law Brief Publishers massaged my ego and told me that not only should I write a book, but the first couple of chapters I produced were good enough to continue the process. Well, that's an achievement. Thank you. Anyway, it goes on. There's a very useful foreword, and it goes on from that. The foreword is by Mark Turner. That's dated November 2016. Then you get to the contents section. It's split into various parts, and then after that, you've got a total of 20 chapters and a conclusion. Then there's an introduction. You can see it flows through. There are examples. There are some real case examples that are given. There's no case law as such in this. But it's actually, I think, a very friendly book to read. And can I just say, whilst it does tend to look at quite a lot of things we want, the usual questions are there. Joint single experts, PI work, the accident work, and then, of course, medical reports towards the end. But it's very much in keeping with the content of the ever-growing CPR and the ever-growing CPR 35. Now, I've done a review which will appear in the Expert Witness newsletter, and hopefully the review will also be available in other journals and on the web. But what do we say about it for the YouTube channel? Well, this: Law Brief Publishing are to be congratulated for producing this short but highly informative and practical title to help experts. It's being written by the experienced and formidable David Boyle. It's described as being written for practising lawyers, experts and judges alike, and that is just what you get. And I found it useful because it's very easy to read. It's not a difficult book to read. Boyle provides a detailed and ultimately practical guide to expert evidence in civil litigation. So that's what you're getting. And it's just the sort of book which we think members of the EWI, that's the Expert Witness Institute, should know about and would have lined up in their professional armoury, because it dispels so much of the rumours surrounding civil procedure rule part 35 in favour of hard advice. And I say that having just come from the most recent EWI conference, where you can see that the experts do need some help, and it's this sort of document, this type of book, that will give you the additional help you might want if you're an expert. Perhaps you're relatively new to giving evidence. So hopefully this will give you a little bit of both encouragement and perhaps a bit more strength, because it's never the easiest thing in the world to put your reputation on the line by going to court and then having lots of funny men in wigs and bands like this thing asking you horrible questions, and then you don't quite know what to do and you wonder if someone can help you. But you see what the problem is with the adversarial system, so this book should help. What I like particularly about On Experts was the consideration given to the formalities and realities of obtaining and relying upon expert witness put out basically across in a straightforward manner. And it's not too lengthy or as detailed as the notes which are in the White Book, which frankly I do find difficult sometimes to read. They're in very, very short, very small typeface, and you really have got to pay attention to follow it all. Not that I'm criticising the White Book, it's wonderful in many ways, but you can see that there are problems. I first came across it when I was a student 3 decades ago, when it was rather different from what the White Book is today. But it's the same basic problem, and that is that it is daunting, because it means that you've got to have a reasonable amount of understanding of how the system operates. The thing is, if we can make it simpler with books such as this, that makes all the difference. Now, for many new to the delights of Part 35, Boyle examines in detail the processes by which experts can formulate and express persuasive opinions whilst fulfilling their duties to the court and the client. And he explores both written and live evidence, and has most usefully included dedicated chapters on specific fields of expertise commonly seen in PI actions, which covers such things as substantive areas of contentious litigation, which is where, of course, much of the specialist advice comes from. Not having to say that where in fact you don't have a trial, but you're still relying upon the evidence, it's still obviously got to be very cogent and accurate. And I do think this book will assist in the structure. There are other books available, especially when you get into the more detailed medical legal type of reporting. However, I think this as a general starting point is a very good book. And Dr. Hector Chinoy has described this paperback as a well-written, comprehensive and engaging account of the issues encountered in being a medical expert, clearly important and worthy of wider dissemination. I think he's spot on with that testimonial, and there are others which I'm going to mention, because I'm not going to spoil the book by showing you all of it, because you should get it. There's another comment by Gordon Exell, who many of you will know from counsel, and he says, clearly informed by extensive practical experience, this is a book that is needed and should be purchased by lawyers and anybody who's thinking of giving expert evidence. And powerful stuff from Gordon. And the judiciary are not to be left out, because we've got District Judge Timothy Gray, who writes that it should be used as a teaching guide for new judges, let alone counsel, litigation solicitors and experts. And that's pretty high praise, I think, bearing in mind that a lot of the work you do will be in front of a DJ today. And of course, David Boyle writes as he speaks, surveying the territory with the advantage of a wealth of experience, richly leavening with a generous helping of personal anecdote, thereby combining authority with accessibility, as they say in the blurb. And in fact, that's what he does. Just reading right at the beginning of the book, you will see the flavour coming through, and it should genuinely give you, I think, hopefully, a lot of encouragement. Let me conclude by saying that the comments that I've given from the users, which are mentioned in the book anyway, of course, sums up On Experts very nicely, and Part 35. A concluding comment of some wisdom from the author ends the book with these words. It's right at the back. No book on experts could hope to cover every field of expertise. Exactly so. But David Boyle, I think, has produced a fine book here, which takes us all a long way down the road, and I'd like to thank him very much. And I'm sure on behalf of all the experts, many of whom I have met over the years at the EWI, I'm sure that they will concur that this is a book which is very, very helpful for their particular work. Now, the date of the publication is stated at 2016, but always keep up to date, in my view, with Part 35 itself and the notes which are in the White Book each year when it comes out, because they are thoroughly revised. And I say every time, I'll say it again, always make sure you've got the most recent information, because if you've got last year's book, I've got last year's book on show here at the moment because I'm using the other one. The fact is that you must have the most up-to-date information. You can cross-refer, but always make sure that you've got the most recent cases and any changes, because whilst I've got the information here, getting it on the internet is not the same. It's second best, so you've got to keep up to date. That's one of the reasons why this book is excellent. Let's have a quick look at it again. It's new. I would expect at some stage it will probably have to go through further updates, one of which will be when the online courts come in, because when they come in, you're going to have a slightly different regime with Part 35. How that's going to be for the online courts white book, which is a separate white book from this one here, the civil procedure, I don't know at the moment. But opening it in the middle, chapter 11, manipulating expert evidence, quite important. One of the things that I've heard recently from experts is they say, oh, how can you help me? Because people are twisting what I'm saying and changing it round. This is basically the barrister on the other side. Well, the answer is to stick, I have to say, the answer is to stick to your guns. If you're the expert, we are not the experts. And what we do at the end of the day is we obviously have to pick holes if we think there are holes in the report. But I would say, and I'm sure that the Institute and all the other organisations will agree, that the quality of expert evidence today is at a very high standard indeed. And I think the excellence of things like the Expert Witness Institute assist in maintaining these high standards for accreditation, which of course gives more weight for one to ask the judge to attach to any submissions you will put to the court to try to win your case. That means, of course, that the expert is to be believed, and that, of course, is the basis upon which we act. But I'd like to thank certainly David Boyle and the staff mentioned, of course, here. That's the two people, Tim Kevin and Gary Wright at Law Brief Publishing, very much indeed for producing a first-class book. There are others in the series which I hope to review in due course, but this is the first, and I've been most impressed with it. Thank you to all. Bye-bye.